Welcome back to the Takeout. As President Trump's deadline for Iran to make a deal on its nuclear weapons hangs over, or its pursuit thereof, hangs over the State of the Union address, sources tell CBS News the president's grown frustrated with what he's heard in terms of military options. I want to bring in CBS News national security contributor Sam Vinograd. Samantha, it's not that there are not a lot of options. There are plenty of options, but they come with caveats that other executed missions in Trump 2.0 haven't had with, because Iran is a different place. Interestingly, today, Secretary of State Marco Rubio had a briefing with the Gang of Eight on Capitol Hill. Tell my audience what the Gang of Eight is, quick reminder, and why you think this is important.
The Gang of Eight are the top leadership from the intel committees and top leadership in Congress. And if the Secretary of State is briefing the Gang of Eight ostensibly on Iran, to me that implies that there's some significant covert element to any operation that the president may be planning, or some new breathtaking intelligence that is so sensitive that only the senior leaders and intelligence leaders in Congress can have access to it. So, of course, we have this massive military buildup right now that is giving the president maximum optionality when it comes to overt military options against Iran. But there's clearly a lot going on that we're just not seeing, and that's a covert action track. I will tell you, it is standard operating procedure for a president to pursue all lines of effort when countering an adversary: diplomatic, military, covert action. So this is in line with past precedent.
Would I be right, Sam, to be confused when the president said, and he got into a very contentious debate with outsiders about whether or not the facilities in Iran had been obliterated or not? That was his choice of words. He very much clutched onto that obliterated word. But then last week, Steve Witkoff, special envoy, said the Iranians were a very short period of time away from possessing a nuclear weapon. I can't square those. Can you?
There's for years been an ongoing dispute about how close Iran is to a nuclear weapon. That relates to how quickly Iran can, quote unquote, break out to a bomb. They have to have enough of what's called highly enriched uranium, the material that's needed for the nuclear weapon. Then they have to engage in a process called weaponization, which is actually fitting a nuclear warhead onto a missile, making it operational, and more. The first question that many people focus on is how much highly enriched uranium do they have? And that's typically what's used to figure out these timelines. But Major, there's a lot of disagreement. There has been for years. The question after the strikes...
Even after the strikes, which the president described as an unqualified success.
Even before the strikes. After the strikes, it is true that the Iranians did lose a lot of the machines needed to make nuclear weapons material called centrifuges. However, they did hold on to a non-insignificant amount of highly enriched uranium. The outstanding question is, has the regime decided that they want to break out to a bomb? What that ties into is the ongoing nuclear negotiations. The president has issued this deadline, I forget what it is now, 10 days or so, that they have to come with, ready to make a deal. But behind the scenes, the intelligence community has to be advising the president on whether the regime has or has not decided to break out to a bomb, or to actively engage in these negotiations. So the two discussions are tied together.
And when we report about frustrations for the president in terms of options, those are frustrations other presidents have felt.
They sure are. And, not being in this situation room, there certainly is reporting from the chairman of the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff that he did tell the president that U.S. munition stockpiles and air defense systems are depleted and that a prolonged conflict could be difficult. That is the job of the chairman, to brief the president on the current state of resources and the trade-offs of any military operation. If we do engage in not just a limited strike in Iran, but a more expansive and prolonged campaign, that does have implications for our readiness and preparedness to not just defend the homeland, but to proactively engage in other operations around the world.
And that's what the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff tells any president who asks. And clearly, the questions are being asked and answered. And whatever the attitude of the president is, we'll probably find out in the coming days. Sam Vinograd.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.